there was a great chief who loved the people of his village very much. He loved them so much, in fact, that he decided to move them to a new clearing near a deep, beautiful, clean, sparkling lake. At this lake, there would be water for cooking, drinking, washing, bathing, and of course a wonderful place for the children to swim. On their first morning in the new home, as the sun rose, the roosters crowed, and the mothers began to work. They walked down to the lake and filled their calabashes with fresh, clean water. They sang as they worked. When their calabashes were full, they carried them home on their heads. The men headed to the forest to hunt for wild game. They sang as they walked to the forest. But excited about their new homes. They washed their bodies, brushed their teeth, and sat down to eat a delicious breakfast. After breakfast, it was time for their chores. There was firewood to be gathered, clothes to be washed, and boxes to unpack. A garden had to be cleared and planted, and food had to be prepared. The children all worked together. They knew that if they got their work done quickly, they could go for a swim in the new lake. They sang as they worked. When the work was done and the sun was hot in the sky, they raced down to the lake for their very first swim. The water felt so good. They were frolicking and splashing and playing in the water when they heard the sound of a drum far away in the distance. We saw a we'll do 2 shows a day. They listened curiously, but the drum wasn't singing any message they understood. One after another, the children came out of the water and stood listening. The drum sound came nearer, faster and faster, until suddenly they saw a man push through the bushes at the edge of the forest. He was tall and looked very strange. Around his neck he wore a string with a medicine bag, and a big drum swung up on a rope thrown over his shoulders. The children were frightened and huddled together in a group. The stranger began to play his drum again. He looked at the children and shouted, "Dance!" The children began to dance to the drum rhythm. The rhythm got faster and faster, and they danced harder and harder. They had never danced like this before. Even though they were panting for breath, they couldn't seem to stop. Finally, the stranger shouted, "Stop!" And the children fell to the ground exhausted. The man put his drum down and took something out of the medicine bag that was around his neck. He unrolled a leaf, and there was a palm nut. He handed the nut to the oldest girl and shouted, "Eat!"
Oh.
She ate the nut and immediately fell asleep. The children were scared and ran home to tell their parents what had happened. When the village heard the story, the chief